And we are live. It's your favorite insurance agent, Darnold Jr., and this is FinLit Live. This is the show where we talk about financial literacy. And today we're talking about what in the world is CBDC. CBDC. So if you would like to know, stay tuned. If you're watching live, go ahead and put in the chat hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. I This is going to be an exciting topic because it's the government meeting modern society and it's something they're actively exploring. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get lit. All right, so today we have an exciting topic because this is a topic that is very important for the future of money, very important for the future of America, and very important for the future of the world because it's going to impact not just here us locally, but it's going to impact a lot of different countries. So without any further ado, let's bring on our guest, Bard. Bard is the AI for Google. So I'm in the test experiment phase. And so Bard, he's going to be the expert today because he has all the up to date information and is super, super exciting. So let's go ahead and type in what is CBDC? Right. All right. So CBDC is an acronym, and as soon as it pops up, it stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. Central Bank Digital Currency. Basically, it's a digital currency issued by a central bank. It is a liability of the central bank and denomination in the sovereign currency, as is the case with physical banknotes and coins. So, in other words, all that jargon to say it's here to replace money. So, that cash you have in your pocket, those coins you have stored in your little piggy jar, guess what? The government is actively exploring ways to get rid of it to make it digitized. So, as you know, like cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP have been all the rage over the past 5, 10 years, right? So, just make a simple note that CBDC is not necessarily a cryptocurrency, but this is going to be actual fiat currency that the government wants for us to be able to transact. So, with that, there's going to be a lot of pros and cons. But before that, let me let you know how active the government is in exploring this. So, Biden actually passed an executive order last year about CBDC. So, let's ask about that. What is the executive order that Biden passed on CBDC? So you got to know that the government is actively pursuing this, and we got to be prepared for things like this. And that's why it's important to get financially literate, so you won't be blindsided by all the changes that are happening. So in March of last year, so about a year ago now, President Joe Biden signed an executive order on ensuring responsible development of digital assets. The order directs the United States government to explore the potential benefits and risk of a central bank digital currency and to assess the technology infrastructure and capacity needs for potential US CBDC. The order also encourages the Federal Reserve to continue its research, development, and assessment efforts for US CBDC, including development of a plan for broader US government actions in support of their work. So, wow, they are actively pursuing this. And when the government has a lot of momentum towards something, guess what? More times than not, it's going to happen. So, there's a lot of pros to having the CBDC. So, let's look up that. Pros for. All right. So, one of the biggest things is a reduced transaction costs. Because you know that when the government produces a penny right now, it's actually losing money because it costs more to produce that penny than it is this printing itself. So having a digital currency, you don't have to worry about that. You could like literally make it up out of thin air. It increases efficiencies, making it easier to transfer money between parties. This is going to be a big deal, especially in developing nations, because if they don't have a bank in that nation, then all they have to do is have their phone, and they're going to be able to do transactions straight from their phone, which is awesome. Improves access to financial services. Hey, that's the third point. And so there's going to be a lot of people that are unbanked, people that don't have a savings or a checking account that will be able to utilize CBDC now because it's all digital. More people have phones than they do a bank, which is incredible to me. Greater transparency. I think this could be a pro or a con. But if the government comes out with money that's completely digital, guess what? They're going to be able to track all that. So any transaction that we do, they're going to have a ledger of exactly what we did, when we did it, where we did it. And so it's going to be great for transparency's sake, but it could be a con too. Reduce crime. So if the government has access to what people are doing, like for instance, if a bad person wants to buy drugs, guess what? The government will be able to track all that. And so they'll be able to be like, okay, I see you're trying to buy drugs with this money. Guess what? I'm going to cut you off. Not going to be able to do that transaction. So it'll definitely reduce crime, and hopefully it'll reduce international crime with the cartel bringing drugs over and everything. So that's a very interesting point. And then it increases competition in the financial sector by making it easier for new entrants to compete with traditional banks. Guess what? Banks have a huge monopoly on our monetary system right now. The ones that are making the most money are the banks right now with the system that's established. But if everything's digital, guess what? We could start to create our own banks on our own. And so we'll be able to compete with the Bank of Americas, the Merrill Lynch's, the Wells Fargo's. We could be able to create our own bank. So that's going to be very interesting. That is going to create more competition. If it creates more competition, guess what? It's going to reduce fees. If it reduces fees, guess what? It's more money in your bank account. So that's definitely a pro of CBDC. So with everything, there's also cons. So one of the cons is privacy concerns. So that was one of the pros, but it's also a con. Guess what? If the government comes up with the money, they're going to be able to analyze every single little transaction. They're going to be able to track everything. They're going to know exactly where you're at, where you're going, because you can't do anything without buying anything. And now, if we have a CBDC, the government is going to be able to track all that, which is going to be very fascinating. And then cybersecurity risk. So, as you know, everything's digital now. Anything that's digital can be hacked. Hands down, bar none. So the thing is, there's quantum computers that are in the process of being developed, and most people don't know about this. But with quantum computers, they'll be able to, you know, how we can access our banks and our Gmail and all these accounts. Right now, they're currently encrypted, and the encryption is so complex that the current computers, the way they are, can't decrypt them. But with quantum computers, once those are invented, they're going to be so advanced and so next level that they're going to be able to uncrypt our current encryption system the way it is. And what's happening is a lot of hackers are actually, when they hack major corporations, they can't get our access to our information because it's still encrypted. But if they get access to quantum computers, they're saving the data, even though they can't access it now. But when quantum computer comes out, guess what? They're going to be able to access all that. Who says they're not going to be able to do that with CBDCs? So that's going to be a huge concern, and I think that's a huge industry that's being developed is cybersecurity. If you are looking for a new industry to go into, cybersecurity is where it's at because everything's going to be digital and everything needs to be secured, and companies are going to pay top dollar to have cybersecurity. And then financial instability. So it poses instability risks if they were to become widely adopted. This is because they could lead to run on banks as people would withdraw their cash and convert it into CBDC. So obviously we all have dollars, And if we're like, oh, they're not going to use dollars anymore, let me pull it off the bank. We've already experienced that a little bit with bank runs, especially what happened in California. If everybody goes to the bank and starts to withdraw their money at the same time, that's going to have ripple effects across the whole banking industry. And the government's been bailing out a couple of banks, but they report it, even in our current situation, that they're not going to bail out all the banks, which is incredible to me. So that could cause huge financial instability if everybody's like, oh, they're going to digital currency, let me go get my cash out so I can exchange it for something else like Bitcoin or for gold or whatever, like we talked about last week. So that is huge. And there's actually some more cons. So let's go dive in a little bit further. Cons of CBDC. Give Bard a second. So we talked about some of these. Reduce competition. So CBDC could reduce competition in the financial sector by making it easier for government to control the money supply. This would lead to higher prices and less choices for consumers. That doesn't sound good at all. And then increase in government control. So, in my opinion, this is the number one negative about CBDC is guess what? The government's going to be able to control everything. They can control all the transactions. If there's a run on the bank and it's all CBDC related, then they could actually stop the transactions altogether. They'll have absolute control of how the economy works. Have absolute control about international transmittance. So right now, the SWIFT system is the big system that's helping transfer money from one country to another. But if everything's digital currency, guess what? The government will be able to see all that. And so government control is a huge thing. They want to be able to control us. That's why it's important to get financially educated. Because if you know exactly how money works, if you know exactly what the government is doing with our money, if you know exactly what the banks are doing with our money, then you could be proactive about it and do the things that will prevent them from having control of your finances. Do you want the government in control of your personal finances? Well, that's why we have this show, is so we could get educated. We could be proactive about it. So if you think the pros are amazing and then support the lobbyists that are pushing for this, but if you think the cons are way too far, it overextends the boundaries of the government, then tell your lobbyists, tell your politicians, be like, okay, we don't like this. Or if you do like it, be like, yeah, let's celebrate this. Let's go. So that's why it's important to understand all the issues that are going on. And that's why it's important to tune in to Finlit Live so you can understand all the little nuances of how money works. And so if you have any questions, go ahead and type it in the chat. And I'll be happy to ask our guest here, Bard, about that because the nice part about artificial intelligence is it has way more information than any of us will ever know. And not everybody has access to Bard right now. So Chat GPT is great, but it's limited to 2021 for its knowledge. But Bard is current information. It's up to date. I can literally ask it, what is the weather? And it's going to tell me. So if you have any questions, definitely go ahead and type in the comments. All people these So we have a couple of comments. It says all of people those days don't save money. Yeah, so it's so important um, to save money for a particular situation as far as like emergencies, but as far as saving money for the long run, like I mentioned last show, savers are loser, meaning that inflation is usually greater than the money that you're putting in the bank for savings. So you got to actively put that money somewhere else that will retain its value, something like gold or silver or cryptocurrencies or whatever. Or talk to your financial planner. I'm not a financial planner. I'm just an insurance agent, and I'm just trying to help people out with spreading the information, spreading the knowledge, and you could do what you want with the knowledge. So if there's no more questions about CBDC, I'd like to talk about a couple announcements that I have. So one of the big events that's coming up, it's coming up this Thursday, is Ignite Your Business Networking event. It's on March 30th from 11:30 to 2 o'clock. Initially, they were charging for the tickets, but the tickets are now free. And the reason they're free is because we have a major donor, a major sponsor in Amity Bank. So thank you, Amity Bank, for sponsoring our networking event. So there's going to be a live panel. I'm grateful to be invited to be part of that panel. There's going to be giveaways. There's going to be food. There's going to be drinks. So if you're interested and you're available to join us on Thursday, yeah, just go to that website, ignitenetworking.event.brite, and you can RSVP. The location is 2736 Virginia Street in Houston, Texas. The panel is going to be amazing. We have a lot of great people on the panel. I personally know probably, yeah, a little over half the panel, which is great. So Shawnee, she's going to be the moderator. Angelia, she is so knowledgeable. She has her MBA. She's so smart when it comes to taxes, so smart when it comes to like doing your books for your businesses, for your personal life. And so you definitely want to listen to what she has. Carson was on the show 2 weeks ago. I've been keeping in contact with him over the past couple of weeks, and he's super sharp, super excited for everything he has going on. He actually has a nonprofit that does something similar to what we're doing here. He wants to educate people on how finances work. So you definitely want to pick his brain, hear what he has to say. And it's going to be yours truly. And a guy I'm going to meet myself for the first time is Carl Scott Jr. on Thursday. So excited to hear what he has to offer for everybody. So let's see if you are available. Definitely join us on Thursday at 11:30 to 2 o'clock. It's going to be fun. We're going to have food. We're going to have drinks. It's going to be fun. So let's go out and learn about how to ignite your business, because that's what it's about. It's about going to the next level. I see businesses like a big game. You're just going to the next level, going to the next level, going to the next level. So, for those that don't know, the reason I started Finlit Live is because in school, they didn't teach us how personal finances work. And I have a Baylor business degree, and they taught me how an income statement and balance sheet works. They taught me how to evaluate a business, but they didn't teach me how a credit score works. They didn't teach me how to invest in my first rental property or start an Airbnb. So that's the purpose of this show, is to teach you guys how personal finances work. And that way, the difference between where you are now and where you want to be is knowledge and application. So that's why it's super, super important to get financially literate about the various areas of personal finances. So if you got any value out today, go ahead and smash that like button. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube show. If you're on Facebook, share this with your friends and family, because CBDC is in the works. It's going to happen. So we got to be proactive about this. We got to stay on top of our government about being responsible with how money works. And so I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for getting lit.